In 1963, the ocean tried to take his life. Instead of hatred, he chose understanding and changed how the world sees sharks. In December 1963, a single moment in the ocean should have ended Rodney Fox's life. A great white shark attacked him with devastating force, leaving him critically injured and drifting between consciousness and darkness. By every logical measure, he should not have resurfaced. He should not have lived. But he did. This is not just a story about survival, it is a story about what happens after survival and how a single encounter with death can transform fear into understanding. The morning of December 8, 1963 began with a quiet farewell. Rodney's wife Kay stood near the doorway, wrapped in a thin robe as if it could shield her from a sense of unease. She was pregnant, and the pregnancy had been difficult. Doctors had strictly forbidden her from traveling, even short distances. Though the warning was meant for her, it filled the entire house. Rodney kissed her gently on the cheek. He didn't linger. He left as if he were simply running errands. But they both knew the truth. He was heading to the ocean to compete in a spearfishing championship. Adelaide Beach, South Australia, a narrow stretch of sand, cold water, a thin layer of fog drifting over the sea. 40 competitors in black wetsuits prepared to enter the ocean. Among them stood Rodney Fox, a champion. He had already won this competition before. This was meant to be his final appearance, a last test before fully committing to family life and fatherhood. He was in excellent condition, strong, experienced, and confident in his ability to handle deep dives. He believed he understood the ocean. He believed everything was under control. Rodney already had an impressive catch, more than 27 kilograms of fish, representing 14 different species. It was enough for a strong result, but competition has its own voice. A quiet insistence that one more success would make it perfect. He noticed a large fish near a rocky formation, slow-moving, heavy, and valuable. He slowed his breathing and focus. The world narrowed to a single objective. Cold water pressed against his wetsuit. His heart beat steadily as he raised his spear gun. And then something changed. The ocean suddenly felt different. Not silent, empty, as if something unseen had shifted. Rodney sensed it before he understood it. Then came the impact. A powerful force struck him from the side, throwing his body off balance. His mask disappeared. His spear gun was gone. For a brief moment there was confusion, then realization. He was being held by something immense. At first there was no pain, only crushing pressure. His body was trapped. He couldn't breathe, he couldn't move. When his arm struck against teeth, pain finally arrived, sharp and overwhelming. Panic followed. Rodney reacted instinctively. He grabbed onto whatever he could, holding on with every ounce of strength he had left. He fought not with strategy, but with pure determination to survive. Suddenly the pressure eased, the grip released. Rodney surfaced, gasping for air, disoriented and barely able to stay afloat. Blood clouded the water around him. Then he saw the shark beneath the surface, massive, slow-moving, deliberate. It showed no rage, no urgency, only instinct. Rodney tried to defend himself, weakly kicking toward it. The effort barely mattered. Then something unexpected happened. The shark turned away. Instead of returning to him, it grabbed the fish attached to Rodney's float and disappeared into the depths. The line tightened, pulling Rodney downward with it. His hands would not respond. His strength was fading. His thoughts dimmed one by one. Then the rope snapped. With the last of his strength, Rodney surfaced and managed to shout a warning. It was enough. He was seen. Strong hands pulled him from the water and onto a boat. The people around him were stunned. His injuries were severe and life-threatening. Emergency vehicles rushed him to the hospital as roads were cleared and surgeons prepared. As Rodney faded in and out of consciousness, he later recalled a strange sense of calm. The world felt distant, he said. Then I saw my wife's face. I heard someone say, "He's going to live." Doctors would later apply hundreds of stitches across his chest and arm. Survival was uncertain, but he had made it through the first battle. Recovery took nearly a year. Months in hospitals, multiple surgeries, painful rehabilitation. Rodney had to relearn how to use his arm and how to breathe without pain, but the physical wounds were only part of the struggle. Fear remained. Nightmares, sudden waves of panic, memories that returned without warning. For months he stayed away from the ocean despite living only an hour from the coast. Nearly a year later, Rodney returned to the shoreline, not to swim, not to dive, just to stand, to listen, to breathe. About 18 months after the attack, he returned to the water. On a later fishing trip, Rodney witnessed something that deeply unsettled him. Several great white sharks were killed in a single day, a common practice at the time. He watched their lifeless bodies surface and felt physically sick. For the first time, he could no longer see sharks as monsters or enemies. He realized he needed to understand them. Rodney understood that fear comes from ignorance. To understand sharks, people needed to observe them safely. Inspired by controlled wildlife environments, he began experimenting with shark observation cages. In 1965, Rodney entered one. What he saw surprised him. The sharks were curious, cautious, and intelligent. They preferred fish, not people. Rodney Fox became a pioneer of shark research and conservation. He helped introduce shark cage diving to the world and later consulted on major film productions, including Jaws, a decision he would later regret. "We made people afraid," he said. "I wanted them to understand." In 2001, he founded the Fox Shark Research Foundation and dedicated his life to education, science, and conservation. Rodney Fox is still alive today. He stepped away from daily work, watching his son continue the mission he began. He is remembered not as a victim, but as a man who chose understanding over fear. He returned to the place where he nearly died, not for revenge, but to truly see and understand what once terrified him.